Yeah, kind of.
Alright. Who's starting this off? Like, who's introducing it?
I think you should.
Yeah. That's it. That's all you niggas get. That's literally it. You already know what the fuck it is. You know everybody's initials. Alright, let's get into the shits.
Alright, yeah.
Alright, so we talk about. I feel like I'm the one that usually brings this shit up, honestly. But like, gender equality.
Uh-huh.
I feel like I'm the one that brings it up the most.
Uh-huh.
We've talked about this a couple of times. But right now we're gonna talk about it as far as like sharing feelings and shit like that. And the reason I thought about this was the Red Table Talk with fucking whatever the fuck. There's mad shows like that where it's a group of women consoling each other, uplifting each other. Mm-hmm. And personally, the way they do it kind of gets on my fucking nerves. I don't like the way they do it. It feels kind of fake to me, but only because I know that, like, at least the women that I know don't really like each other. Like, girls don't really like other girls, so when I see groups of women that haven't even grown up together being, like, mad supportive of each other, the shit seems wild fake to me. But that's not the point I'm trying to get to. The point I'm trying to get to is, why don't we do that with each other? Why don't guys do shit like that?
Because niggas don't care.
Why?
They're taught not to.
Let's get into it. This is what I'm talking about. You got it.
I think
maybe is that wrong? Is there a reason behind it? How do you feel about it? Do you wish it was different?
I wish it was.
But here's
different.
the thing, though. I guess I can't speak for women because I wasn't taught the same thing. But like, I don't really think that it's just something that was taught. Period for both. And the fact that it is going on.
This is important. I gotta take this. Y'all keep going. Hello?
I feel like the fact that it's important right now, it's just because of the movement that is going on, where women are seen more in a professional place and getting more roles and trying to break barriers that they haven't broken before. And I think that's part of it, but also I think the fact that men don't get it is because we are in positions where we don't have to like break barriers, and that's why we're not there. Now, the whole, helping each other and like the whole aspect of that, I don't know where that came from. Maybe the fact that women are more maternal and more emotional than men, and maybe that's where it comes off of. And why we don't do it as men is because, like I said, we weren't even taught to do it in the first place. Maybe with your siblings or something, or close friends. Mm-hmm. But I think, yeah, we should. I think we should support everyone, for that matter. It shouldn't just be like men and women, or women and men.
Well, yeah.
Just everyone,
Well, see, with me, I think... Now, I've always said that I don't fully understand when women or society in general talks about, like, toxic or hyper masculinity, but I think in this type of context, this is one of the best examples of what that is, because whenever there's like a hint of, you know what it is, emotions are and the need to talk about them or express them are equated with vulnerability. And vulnerability is equated to weakness. And men are taught to not be weak because we need to, whatever. And a lot of women don't understand this, but women put pressure on men to be that way also. And it's conflicting because women want a man, like, it's really crazy. The same women that'll say that, like, men act this way and da-da-da-da, will still say that the person that they're dating, they like that roughness, that toughness, that whatever it is, like, I like when my man get mad at me and tell me about myself and all this other stuff. But it's like all of that is toxic because that means that you're expecting your man to deal with your bullshit. That's how I look at it. And I'm getting off topic, but basically what I mean is...
Who hurt you?
Yeah. For real. But basically what I'm saying is, like, when... Oh, nice.
Like... You didn't like our makeshift kind of,
We're a little fucking retarded.
what I was saying is like it's one of those things where we can't be weak because all of society tells us on both sides, men and women, that we can't be weak, and our emotions make us weak. I don't agree with that. I think our emotions make us stronger, and your ability to conquer those emotions and control those emotions, that's what makes you strong. You're not strong by hiding them or acting like you don't have them, because you're human. Of course you do. And the more you act like you don't, honestly, the more unstable you become. That's what I believe, personally. So, and this goes for everyone, right? But
I'm definitely one of the unstable. We'll get into that in a second as soon as it's done.
But it's like, so I think that we're that way because of that stigma. But it needs to change. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that people feel that certain shit, like, is not important, or like, you know, certain emotions aren't worth talking about. Like, nah, if it's valid, if it's something you feel, you should be able to express that, and men should be able to encourage one another to talk to each other about shit so that we can be stronger, because I think men need to step up. I honestly, and this is gonna sound a little fucked up, but the thing that women are trying to do for each other, I personally think that if men were devoted to doing that, I feel like we could do it better than they do. Because it's like,
I don't believe that.
it turns...
I believe that, but there's a specific reason.
There's a certain reason
So
behind
would
it.
we be better at like connecting with our emotions?
No, that's not what I'm saying. Well, before, not to cut you off.
Is that because we only have simpler emotions?
No, it's literally, for me personally, dudes get along with other dudes way better than women get along with other women. I just feel like it'd be an easier transition to help each other out than it would be for women. That's literally it.
Yeah.
We fuck with each other more than women fuck with other women. But continue with what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I that too, but also I think it's just... Yeah, it's that form of lifting each other up. I just feel like if we were to actually step up and do it, we'd be more successful at it, because it's like we naturally just want each other to succeed, and it's more like, bro, if you can get it, get yours, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like your success doesn't threaten my success, or vice versa. It shouldn't be like that. And also, I feel like men can lift you, and again, I might be wrong, this might be controversial, so apologize in advance, but like, I think men can lift each other up without having to tear women down. Like, I feel like with a lot of women, not all, I feel like with a lot of women, it comes hand in hand. Like, you feel like you have to devalue men to bring up the value of women when you don't. Like, hold the men that fuck up, hold them accountable, but don't throw us all together. And then vice versa. We shouldn't be like, well, that's just how, like, women are. Like, you know, fuck them. Like, this, that, and the other. Like, nah. It's like, let's make ourselves better so that we can show them that they're wrong about men. And then when our value goes up, either they notice or they don't, and it's their loss. But it's like, I know how to live my life without a woman in my life. And I don't have to prove anything to a woman. I want my success for me. And a lot of women are starting to be like that now, which is a good thing. They should want to be independent and do things for themselves. And when they do that, the right guy will come along. But when that right guy comes along, you have to be willing to let him be that guy for you. Yeah, that's what it is. If you're guarded and never want to give anyone a chance, then you're never going to have anything with anybody.
It's vice versa. Everything you're saying goes for both.
Absolutely.
Like, again, coming from the unstable side, I know this through a lot of anger management and a lot of therapy. But I don't know how it was in your household, but I grew up in my grandmother's household. That doesn't necessarily mean my grandmother was around a lot. I just grew up in her household. I was around my uncles and older cousins. The first, like, even as a baby, when you get emotional as a baby, you cry because that's all you can do. In my household, that shit stops at baby. What time we at?
10. We good.
Alright. From, like, as a boy, because the girls didn't have to deal with this, as a boy, from the age of about 6, because that's the farthest back I can remember it happening, from the age of about 6 on, you're not allowed to cry in the house. When you felt some type of way, immediately you physically take care of it.
Yeah.
If you cry, you get beat. Did it all the time. Whenever I would cry, my uncle would fuck me up. Like, way more like not a whooping, like fight me like another adult.
Yeah.
It was taught very early. You do not cry. In my household, the only emotion that you were really allowed to show was, I don't even know if it's an emotion, but calm. You stay collected.
Yeah.
And that's it. Even if you're angry, you don't show that you're angry. You
You
just,
guys weren't allowed to be happy?
even too much happiness was more like, the fuck is you so happy about? Like, that's really how it was in my household. Like, if you were too happy, they were there to fuck that up, because they were like, nah, you're not, you shouldn't be that happy, because we're not happy, so why the fuck are you so happy? It was very simple. But if you were, you stay, even if you were angry, you just reacted to the anger. That was kind of it. You don't get upset, you don't yell. My girlfriend tells me all the time, you don't ever argue. I wasn't taught how to argue. I don't know how to raise my voice to somebody when I'm upset at them. I hit them. And I did that now through therapy and a lot of anger management. I've learned better ways to talk out my problems. Now, again, I don't know how it is in other boys' households, but I'm pretty sure that whole theme of girls cry, boys don't cry. When you're sad about something, you man the fuck up about it. When you're angry about something, do something about it. Then I feel like that's ingrained. Like I said, the girls didn't have to deal with that. Girls could cry, get angry, and talk back, all that shit. If I had a legitimate argument about something that I felt was unfair, I got punched in the face immediately. It was not a second thought. I don't think I've ever had an argument with my mother or any other adult in my family since I was 10 years old. Because that's just not how it works. You do what we say. If you don't do it, we fuck you up. If you do it and complain about doing it, we still fuck you up. And if you don't like it, the option is to leave. And I've got kicked out of my house at a very early age many times.
Yeah.
Like, if the first time I ever got told to leave the house, if they did that now, that's like illest child endangerment. Like, I was really that young.
Yeah.
Like, it was really that serious. But girls were allowed to do it. Girls could cry, talk back. If they didn't like something, they could storm away and close the door. I feel like that's kind of ingrained in us as kids, where it's just like, no, girls are supposed to be emotional, so they can show all that. Boys aren't supposed to be emotional.
See,
You have to toughen the fuck up.
yeah. Now, see, it's a little different with me. Now, the way I was raised, it's weird because, like, my father is in my life, but until, soon. I never lived with my dad. So dad was a weekend thing. Monday through Friday, I'm with my mom and my sisters. Only my mom and my sisters. Only boy in the house. It's a lot of women, a lot of estrogen. I'm raised with that. Now, I wouldn't go so far as to say it made me, like, effeminate, which might offend some or whatever, but it's
made
like
you feminine?
like effeminate, like
Effeminate.
yeah, like more, whatever. But it's like I wouldn't go so far as to say that, but I think my emotions were more encouraged because I was raised with women and by a woman, and but my mother was also a disciplinarian. Like, she was a correctional officer for 27 years. She's dealing with grown men who were convicted of serious crimes. She had to learn how to be like tough as nails and like keep them in line. So she brought that home with us, and she didn't really like that as much, which she revealed to me when I got older. But it was like I was allowed to feel what I felt, and I was allowed to cry when I needed to cry until I did something wrong. She would be like, well, why are you crying? Like, you did this. You know, it's more like you don't cry when you're in trouble because it's your fault. So if I'm about to whoop you, don't you start crying. If it hurts, eat that shit because you did it. What are you crying for? Take the punishment. That was when she would tell me, like, you gotta man up. Take the punishment. Take the whooping because you did it. Own up to your shit. That's what it was. But when it was just like I felt whatever because of whatever, I was allowed to feel those things. But you can't cry when it's something you fucking did. That's crazy. And my dad was the same way. My dad was like, fuck you upset for? Why are you crying? Like, you know, and I would get like defensive and I would start like yelling. He'd be like, yo, keep your emotions in check. I'm just talking to you. Like, you know, we having a conversation. Don't get all emotional. I don't like that shit. Girls do that shit. That's what he would tell me. And then that's when I was like, all right, let me keep it together. And also when it came to relationships, he was like, you got to stop being so emotional. Like, you wear your heart on your sleeve. You got to stop doing that shit because everybody will walk all over you. He had some truth. There was a lot of truth to that. But I'm also not like ashamed of the fact that I feel things. I feel what I feel. And now I'm at a point where like I feel I'm in good enough control of it that I can express what I feel without whatever. And if I'm emotional about shit, well, too fucking bad. I'm emotional about shit. I have every right to feel whatever the fuck I feel. That's where I'm at now. But growing up, there were certain restrictions on when I could feel something. But it wasn't like you can't ever feel nothing ever. So I feel like I got a good
This is
balance.
why I say I come from the understable. Because
Yeah.
my shit showed out in when I would get to school. I took everything that I learned at home to school. I used to get kicked out of school every day. I was starting with expulsion, probably from every school I've ever been to. I got kicked out of one of those schools because they had had enough. And it landed in a lot of arrests. My anger problems landed in a lot. Most of my arrests have to do with me reacting angrily to something. And that goes to what you were saying before, where when you try to hide it so much, it's gonna come out eventually. And in therapy, I also learned that it's going to come out eventually. The problem with me was I realized that, and I was fine with that. I was fine with the explosion. Because in my head, I was just like, well, if you take me to explosion level, then you deserve it. All of that explosion anyway. So I became perfectly fine with the explosion.
That's cool.
I had no limits. My thing, like, ever since, like, I was in fourth grade. And I got into a fight at school. I got sent to the principal's office. And I didn't realize the kid said this. But we were fighting, and the kid was telling me to stop. I didn't hear him tell me to stop, but the teachers heard him tell me to stop hitting him.
Yeah.
And when they asked why I didn't stop hitting him, I said, the fight wasn't over. And they were like, well, when did you think the fight was going to be over? I said, the fight's over when he's bleeding and he's not moving anymore. And that in a fourth grader was legit, because the fight's not over till it's over, till you can't fight back. It's not, I don't want to fight back. There's no such thing as not wanting to fight back. The fight is over when you can't.
And that's what you were taught.
Yeah, that's how it works. That's how a fight works at my house. Because I would cry about something. I would get hit till I couldn't fight back. So in my head, that's what a fight is. You fight until they can't fight back. That was the explosion.
Yeah.
That's the instability.
Yeah.
If this is gonna sound weird, but if I had been treated more like a girl, I probably would have been a little bit more right.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I had been allowed to, like, if I feel this type of way, talk about feeling this type of way, probably would have been a lot more healthier.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you this. Now, it might be different because you have a girl, but now with everything that you know, what would you do going forward?
The better thing would have been if I, again, love the fact that I have a girl, but the better, like, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? The better test would have been if I had a boy.
Yeah.
Because in my family, we already don't treat the girls like that.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm still gonna probably treat my daughter the way I would have treated my daughter anyway.
Yeah.
Because we allow the girls to feel we allow them to rock.
Yeah.
The test would have been if I had a boy, how would I have raised my boy? I don't know. Because even today, I still don't cry about nothing. I haven't cried since I was 11 years old. And the only reason I know this is because I remember the last day I cried. I'm not going to go into that story, but I remember the last day I cried, and I have not cried since then. I still don't really... My response to crying is still like, what the fuck is you crying for?
Mm-hmm.
Because in my head, it doesn't fix it. Like, you're crying. And I know, through therapy, I know it's not always about fixing it. It's just about getting the emotion out so that you feel better. That's cool. I don't believe in that for me, personally, because in my head, if something is wrong, the only way to get over it is to fix it. In my head, crying, the time that it takes for you to cry, you could have been fixing it in that time that you were crying. So what the fuck are you crying?
Let me ask you a question then. Your mom dies. You're not gonna cry? You crying doesn't fix it. But you doing something also doesn't fix the fact that your mom is dead.
I'm gonna put it like this. Me and my mom's relationship is great now. When I was younger, it was a little rocky. The closest person to me in my whole life, you know who,
Mm-hmm.
died almost, that was 2011, we're in 2000, so 8 years ago, almost 9, I guess. I don't feel like doing math right now.
Yeah.
The closest person to me at that point, and to this day, still like the closest person to me, even though he's dead. He was at one point the only family I felt like I had. Never cried for him.
No, why not?
Not once. Because I don't. It was just, you don't.
I thought, didn't you come close one time?
I've come close. But it's like, even if I kind of want to subconsciously, like my body won't allow me to.
Mm. You're just so conditioned.
Yeah, it's just like, so my mom hasn't died, so I'm not going to tell you what would happen. And also, I'm not as fucked up now as I was then. So I don't know what would happen if my mom died. But I don't think I would cry. I don't. I would feel, that's not to say I wouldn't feel bad. I just don't think I'd cry.
I would bawl my fucking eyes out.
And that's the healthy response to that. But like I said, I'm aware that I grew up unhealthily. Like, I'm aware what I'm saying is probably the complete wrong way to do things. But I probably wouldn't cry.
Yeah.
Because in my head, I'm like, if I didn't cry for him getting killed, I probably wouldn't cry for anybody. Because like I said, to me, that was like my only family at one point. So his loss hit me harder than anything ever in my whole life. So if I didn't cry for that, then I probably wouldn't cry. I feel bad, but I don't believe I'd cry if my mom died.
Mm.
Through conditioning.
Yeah. It's okay to cry.
It is okay to cry.
Need everyone watching to know that. It is okay to cry. It's a part of the
I just hear
human process.
Your head knows.
Yeah, it's okay.
I thought nobody was gonna see me.
Nice.
No, we all saw you. I don't know.
But everybody was looking away.
No.
No, I cry sometimes.
I can see
from
you,
time to
'cause
time.
even looking there, I can still see you.
I cried, like I said, I cried during Endgame, so I mean, that was the last time I cried.
Yeah, I've definitely never cried over a movie, though.
Oh yeah, you wasn't there that day because we talked about that.
What? Crying?
If there was a movie that made us cry,
Last movie that you cried to.
I've cried at movies before, but it's like, you know, again, emotional response. It is what it is. I personally, I'll go to war with anybody who gets on me about my feelings at this point. Like, I've learned to stop being afraid of my own feelings, which to me makes me more in control. Because I've been afraid of what would happen if I get to a boiling point because I was holding a lot of stuff in, and I had a lot of resentment for a lot of stuff, and it fueled all my insecurities. But I've gotten to a place in life recently, I think after the last breakdown I had, I think from that point forward, I've been in like a whole nother state where it's like I've just learned to stop letting other people's like ways affect me. So now it's like I feel some type of way. I have a right to feel what I feel, and if you don't like it, it's not my problem. And I used to be like, well, why don't you understand? Why don't you get...
defend yourself with everything around you. It's not going to help you at this point.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take your hoodie out.
I don't know why you haven't.
Because I don't got no shirt under this.
Oh, yeah.
Same problem I have. That's why I haven't taken it off. It's just open.
I got one shirt under.
I have a wife beater.
Oh, yeah.
And since you guys tried to kill us for not wearing clothes, guess what? I'm sweating for you bitches.
Nah, it was mostly socks for you.
But for
I
me,
got those
for
on
me, it
too,
was
and
the
I would love
shirt.
to take these fucking shits off.
Pass me that.
What, the lotion?
What the fuck is wrong with
The
you?
notebook?
What is
I was wondering. I'm like, what is he looking at?
Thank you.
I said, I just need something, anything. God damn it.
Anyway, down there in the comments, let us know the last time
Are we
you
up
cried.
already?
I don't know. What is the time?
Oh, it's 27. No,
Yeah,
but
You
well,
have another thing to talk about?
I mean, I forgot what I was saying. I was in the middle of something, but.
Talking about feelings. You go
Oh no, I was saying, because like I used to have this like need to want to make everybody like get it. Like, why don't you understand why I feel what I feel? But now it's more like, you know what? I'm not gonna like waste my energy trying to get you to get it. Like, I'm gonna tell you how I feel because I need to communicate. But if you don't communicate back, then I just know how to be around you, and I'm just not gonna share that with you. But you're not gonna turn me into a person that doesn't care because you don't care. That's your fucking problem, not mine. So that's how I've chosen to deal with things now, and I feel a lot better for it.
Good.
Yeah.
In therapy, that's exactly what they would tell you.
Thanks. Now I can say goodbye. Mental health is important.